Here's part 5 of our conversation with Bill Champlin. I'm John Beaudin from Rocky Street Music. Between 16 and 17, to you personally, what was the vibe going into 16 as opposed to going into Chicago 17?
Well, I think 16, they really felt like, okay, we're going to get it going. I mean, it was kind of weird right then. They did it kind of out of their own money, did it out of their own pension funds. There was no deal when they did 16. So they got me in there, but it wasn't like it was already going on. They were signed as manager to Howard Kaufman, and which means Irving Azov at some level. All that was all going on and all happening, but they were kind of we're just going to do this on the fly and see what happens. And now once the first roughs came in, Warner Brothers or what was it, Reprise, somebody over there jumped on it like with both feet, They would, whoa, this is going to fly. So things started to happen. But I think they just took a chance. And 17, we see the end of 16, right, it looked like it was done and over. And then David and Peter wrote Hard to Say I'm Sorry, and they put it on the record. And that just flew like crazy. I think that was the only single off of that record, off of 16. But it really set up 17 like a monster. And I'm sure that, I mean, I don't know whether David had conversations with Chicago management, but it really started going in. This is really going to be the album that Foster and Cetera really tear it up. And they did.
You didn't want to be a sideman, right? You wanted to be a member of the band.
I wouldn't be a sideman. Not at that time. I just had a record out. I mean, I was, Runaway had been out for 2 weeks when I joined that band. But I could, like I say, I could tell Joe Smith signed me. He's gone. Nobody even knows that I've got a record out on Elektra Records. So I went, this offer came in, and I went, okay. And I told Dan, when Danny called me, he said, we want you in the band. And I said, and I knew they had sidemen. And I said, Danny, I don't want to be a sideman. It just doesn't seem like the right thing to do, He said, no, we want you as a principal member of the band. So, and I went, well, that's a different story. What do you see me doing? He said, well, to start with, we want you, I know you play some guitar, so there's some things you can play guitar on, but to start with, I got a feeling Robert's not going to be able to handle Foster's piano stuff that well. And I think you can. So, and I went, yeah, sort of. I'm not as good a player as David, but I can copy a little bit, And then at some point of the game, I said, well, what else? What do you see me singing? He said, well, how about Make Me Smile? I said, I'm into that. I like that song. Color My World. I went, let me get back to you. So I sang that for a while, and eventually Robert said, I got to sing it now. So, I mean, that was sort of the beginning of the usurping of whatever space I got. I mean, we had a hit. It was an number one AC hit with Glenn Ballard and James Newton Howard that was called Here in My Heart. Remember that song? It was a big record. And the band took it off the set when it went from number one. It went to that week after that, it went to number 3, and they took it off the set. I was going, it's a little bit of a slap in the face. At some point in the game, I went, no matter what I do, it's, and I don't think they were, I don't think they were real happy. I mean, that when Ron Nevison came in for a meeting, I don't think they were real happy with Nevison going, I want that guy to sing it. Because I think Ron used to mix for Jefferson Airplane, and I think he'd heard my voice years before. When front of house mixer, I think he'd heard me singing before somewhere along. I don't know where or when, but he kept it kind of, because right at the moment Ron was really hot. He just produced a couple of Heart records, and they were big records, So Ron just went, I want this guy's voice. I want to do something with this guy's voice. There's no law says it has to be the tenor, even though Peter was great. But there's no law says it has to be tenor. And so they went with Look Away. And I Don't Want to Live Without Your Love, Look Away, and a song called You're Not Alone, which was kind of a cool tune. So, it was, and I had, at one point I was really kind of over with. I was about to bail. And a former road manager of the band, Jack Gowdy, called me up. He said, Bill, don't walk. He said, something tells me you're coming around the corner here. And he was kind of right. you know, and then Jack passed away a little while later.
You know, there's a few songs on the new album that I found myself playing over and over again. Show Me was one of my favorites. Tell me about that one.
Well, you know, me and Jason we're planning on doing some other stuff, and he said, "Hey, let's get busy and write a few things." So that's one of the songs we wrote. You know, Jason was in really more for the lyric thing. He was helping out with the lyrics quite a bit, and we just cut a version of it just as a demo. And when I was doing the album, I called him. I said, "Do you mind if I put this on my album?" He said, "Absolutely, go for it," because I had just done some backgrounds on one of his things. And I mean, we didn't quite get along at the end of Chicago, but if you're in Chicago, nobody gets along with anybody. It's just a, you know, and I think it's that way with a lot of bands that have been around for a good long time. There's so much water that never quite went under the bridge, you know. But so Jason and I have been working together. We're actually got a situation. As soon as Kiss is done with their thing, we're going to go after a project with Tommy Thayer.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah, Tommy's a lot better guitar player than a lot of people think. I mean, the makeup doesn't make him play any less great. He's a good rock player. He really understands what it takes to play right for rock and roll. I mean, he's great.
The song "Hey." Now, when I heard that, I remember the first thing that came to my mind is went, well, he can still write a mean hook, this guy.
Well, you know, we kind of wrote that with Tamara and Gary Falcone, who played a little bit of the guitar on it. We kind of wrote that originally for the second Wonderground record. And I went, guys, I want to use this on the solo album. And Gary and Tamara were fine with it. So I went ahead and did it. And then I went, you know, I really need a butt-kicking guitar solo on this, because I wrote a whole section on it. And Tamara and I took the drive, and we drove it up to San Rafael, California, in Marin County, which is just across the Golden Gate Bridge from San Francisco. And we got Tal Morris to play the solo on it. That is a screaming solo.
Yeah.
He did like 23 tracks. He said, put them together however you want, which we did. Actually, Gary helped me put them together. And Tal was with the Sons for a little while. I mean, he was a really good guitar player. And we went he had a studio. And matter of fact, I did the organ in his studio.
Was it Alone? Who's the drummer on that?
Alone was Alan Hertz.
Yeah, like the little fill in the beginning. I like when the drummer just puts a little thing in there and go, what? Huh? What do you do there?
Yeah. Where's one? Thank God for click tracks, you know. Yeah, Alan's a really musical drummer. I mean, he really kind of knows what's going on. And that tune I got away with. I did some cool stuff on it.
Did you do the BG on that? Was that only you? Who did the...
I think it was mostly me, yeah. I don't think I used Tamara on that one. I actually had my falsetto going that day, so I bang it up. It's really kind of a you know, artsy craftsy verse and B section, but when it goes to the chorus, it feels more like a Rolling Stones song or something. It's just rocking hard, you know what I mean? And I got this little foot pedal that'll allow me to take the guitar down in increments, half note, whole tone, minor third, major third. You know, you can just push the button. So on some of that, I did the really really lower than most guitars go. So it's kind of, and that one ended up really being cool. It's really a cool record.